Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in as Lon Strickler and Strange Days is about to happen. And Tim James is going to join us for the show as well. But first, we got to say hello to each and every one of you as we have Eternity Eternal in the gold medal position. We got Race Fan with a silver, AJ with a bronze medal tonight. And hello to Kitty Cattywhack, Green-Eyed Lady, how are you? Bar Madison, Robert Lamoth, and Chris 716. Chris 716 will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because when Lon's on, he always wants to go into a show nice and smooth. He can't remote view anything rigid, so that's why he needs to be lubed up for the entire show. So thank you, Mel, for lubing us on up. Paul Shreves, how are you? Mama Catherine, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful evening, and I hope you enjoy tonight's show. I do. I think you will. I'm hoping so. All right. Dimmy, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us as we continue on with the roll call. Necessary Dialogue. JSCO, Skip to my Lou, good morning to you. And who else do we have here? We got JSCO. And who's next? Number 17 in your program, starting at center ice tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is. And let's scroll on down to Kathy Evans. How are you? Walter Kochabinski, nice to see you. As we continue on with the roll call, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. T-Bone, my man, hope you're having a great night, brother. As we continue on with our roll call, Operation Shutdown. Ozzy, good to have you both here. Tim Mothman and his goatee. Joining us tonight in the chat room, Tim Mothman's goatee, not Tim Mothman, but Tim Mothman's goatee will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, for the goatee, to the right of the studio. Jay Truthseeker, how are you doing? Good to see you. So we continue on with roll call. Arizona Raven, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. And who else do we have here? Hillbilly Herb, Sweet Donna C., Undead Jed, nice to have you all here. As we continue our scroll down, there's Al Garay over on Twitch. 1,400 push-ups in 3 minutes. His arms are jacked for tonight. Don't know how he did it. Excuse me. But we're going to continue on here. What in Tarnation has returned? About time. Where have you been hiding? Noble Patrick, nice to see you. Rockin' Rory, thanks for coming on in. Flubber Lane, good to see you. And who is next on our list? Barbara Mora, how are you tonight? Beelzebub has a devil put aside for me, for me, for me. In the studio, how are you? Good to see you. As we scroll on down to Caged on the Inside, thanks for coming on in. Carol Amario, good to see you. And who's next on our list here? Paramarv, how are you tonight? And Monica Davius, how are you? Or is it Davius? Hard A or soft A? Let me know. Benno, how are you tonight? Good to see you. And Bobbert, nice to have you here. Jose Sanchez, thanks for coming on in. Woo Poo, how are you doing? And let's see, Digger Dog, good to see you. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com hanging on out with us. And we're going to get to Strange Days here momentarily. Tim James is going to join us for the show as well. We want to remind everybody that the Super Chat on YouTube is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so we appreciate your love and support. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. Jerence Carter, how are you doing? Good to see you, Jerence. As we got about 15 seconds to go, I hope you guys had a great weekend. We're going to get into some weird shit tonight. That's all I can say. All right, it's that time of the night. I ask all of you to do me a favor. Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got an awesome show coming for you tonight. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is here. And what you guys don't know is Lon has actually been helping us out in the background with the Flight 21 investigation that Tim and I have been doing. Tim James will be here as well for the entire show, as he's going to join Lon and I the first 2 hours. Then he'll be here for the UFO report right after. So let's get right to it. Lon Strickler is a Fortean researcher for the last couple of decades. A lot of people will call him a god in this industry. He is a guru of the cryptids and the unknown. He has one of the most popular websites in the world called phantomsandmonsters.com. His books can be found on his website or on Amazon, and Lon literally will detail every single case that he has had walk through his door. It is absolutely amazing what Lon has covered over the years, whether it's, aliens, UFOs, ghosts, spirits, Hat Man, skinwalkers, Wendigos, Bigfoot, Dogman, whatever it may be. Lon is literally a treasure in this field when it comes to this subject. He's taken a keen interest in what Tim and I are doing in Flight 21. So let's bring him on here. We have Lon Strickler, Tim James. Good to have you guys here tonight. Lon, I want to just say publicly, thank you so much for taking the time to have an interest in what Tim and I are doing in Flight 21. It is really appreciated, and your experience and knowledge has really helped us out.
Well, it's what I do, and I enjoy it, and it's such an interesting opportunity. I've gotten a few people who work with me involved with it as well. So, yeah, no problem. I love doing this stuff.
Yeah, Tim and I had a moment in the forest the other day where we were just kind of bragging about how we have Lon effing Strickler helping us out on this case, and we were so thankful of that, Timmy?
100%. And it was, yeah, he's an effing legend. And it was like, yeah, we were quite, took a few moments to reflect on that. And yeah, made us both smile huge. So thank you very much for jumping in and helping us out, Lon. It is much appreciated.
Love doing it.
Oh, we know.
Before we get too started, Lon, you actually have a message. Your website I don't know if it's been hacked or if it just crashed or what have you. What's happened to phantomsandmonsters.com?
Oh man, it's been a week. I'm telling you. Everybody, I've been on that old blogger platform for over 20 years now. And for whatever reason, Google has kind of let it go to the wayside. They haven't really done any much updates. So I figured, I'm going to go ahead in here and do some coding upgrades and a few other things. Bad news. I went in there. It looked good at first, but then the whole thing just disintegrated on me. So,
ouch.
Yeah, I tried to get into AI and tried to get it back up, but it just didn't work. And after a day and a half, I decided, well, I've been talking about doing an upgrade, doing a rebuild for a long time now. So now's the time to do it. So the website's going to be down for at least another 3 weeks. We're working on it, but the folks I have doing it for me they're working hard on it. So hopefully we'll get it up sooner than later, and it'll be bigger and better than before.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. Now, for people who don't know you, you've been doing this for a long time, and we always got new listeners coming in each and every month who may not have heard your story. This is a lifelong journey for you as someone who is not only psychic, but an experiencer as well. You're a remote viewer. You're somebody who literally built a library about these cases of weird sightings that people are having all around this great planet we call Earth. And, Lon, the way you've done it and the way you've been able to categorize everything, how has that affected you personally, and how has it expanded your mind to really the strange world we live in?
Early on, probably not much at all, but when I eventually started, I've done investigations ever since I was in high school. And but as I got older and decided to start really utilizing the internet, and start to blog and a few other things, that's when I really expanded. And when I started to put a lot of my case archive out into the blogosphere, or whatever you want to call it, I started getting some recognition, and it just became bigger and bigger as it went along. I guess I came in at the right time, but I've been writing the blog now for over 20 years. But I've been investigating for 45 plus years as well. So yeah, and it's changed. I've kind of seen the whole evolution of the paranormal world and the cryptid world. And, when I started, it was, there was a lot of trepidation. People just didn't want to get involved with it. Getting people to come forward as witnesses was really tough. But of course, with the internet now, with television and it becoming more mainstream, it has become a lot easier. And so that's, now especially since I'm retired, I got time to do this all the time. So
that's amazing.
I love doing it.
Let me rephrase that with this. When Tim and I started out doing the Flight 21 crash site, and you saw the first video, immediately you kind of decided that this was going to be a particular interest of yours. You've obviously, I can tell by the notes that you've sent us and the reports you've done on it, you've done your homework on the area. What makes a place like this area so fascinating, in your opinion?
Well, let alone with the crash and all the deaths involved with it, and the fact that a lot, if not all, of the original artifacts are still there or were brought back. It leaves an imprint, It definitely does. But in this instance, as in a few instances when you have a lot of death, just like with a battlefield or something like that, the paranormal and the otherworldly seem to be attracted to it. And when I saw the first video, I just got that distinct impression that something was going to happen here. This was really going to be something unique. And as we have gone along, as you and Tim have been investigating and going along, and you from you telling me over the years about this place and other places around you, I thought here's an opportunity to really look into it deep and to be able to use some of the abilities and some of the people who work with me to look into an area where, you know, maybe we can start getting some answers to some of the phenomena we really don't understand.
Tim, your thoughts?
No, excuse me. Yeah, I think that I first of all, again, I appreciate the fact that you're doing this and all that. Dave's talked about it, and same thing as you, Lon. Dave talked about it a lot before I went up with him, and most definitely, it at this point in time, now that we've done 5 episodes, I would say it. First of all, I'm feeling much more comfortable, and I'm feeling a lot more in tune, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, with what's going on up there. And I mentioned it to Dave on the weekend when we were up there. I said to him, I said, it's almost like the Dave's, I guess, the mission that was proposed to him was to show up there for 6 times, just sit and not get too crazy, and you know, accept and just be there. So we've done that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mentioned to Dave, and I don't know if you're seeing or feeling the same thing, it almost feels as if every time we go up there, it's like another entertainment section opens up. Like, hi, we're this group on the first time we're up there, and we're the Sasquatch. And then the next time it's a weird feeling about aliens. You know, you get that kind of that weird feeling that way. Then it's spiritual. And it just seems that each group kind of says hello every time we go up to say, okay. And so now this next one, when we go up, like this weekend, same thing. It's like, all right, what will reveal itself this time? Because I mean, yeah, every time it's different, and it's such a great, it's a cool place, but then again, it's so mysterious. And yeah, there was a couple times that we both looked at each other on Saturday night and went, should we go? Should we leave? So yeah, it is nice to be able to dig into that and maybe get some answers to what's going on up there and find out what the big draw was. I mean, you know, obviously drawing Dave back, right?
Yeah, I mean, that area has been in my life since 2018, and you know, I wouldn't have ever wanted to sit there and investigate it long because number one, I'm not an investigator. I'm an enthusiast of the phenomena, but number two, it is something that, you know, you feel protective over the area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you feel very protective, and you feel that you don't want people going in there. Not that it's your own area, but you want to protect what is there, whether it's the spirits. You know, like Tim and I got very upset a couple weeks ago when we went in there after the Victoria Day long weekend up here in Canada, and somebody had moved a bunch of the pieces of the crash site and laid them out on a log to kind of show them off a little bit. Tim and I were just like, who does that? Like, why? That's not yours. It's not a museum. This is a place of unhappiness and tragedy. You know, so Lon, do you have areas in your area or that you've covered that have become like almost personal to you?
Oh yeah, well, Gettysburg, that's a perfect example. I mean, I've been around Gettysburg all my life, and I take it very personally. I mean, and when I see things are disturbed or I see people doing things or conducting investigations that I think are a little bit overboard. It upsets me as well. I mean, this is, yeah, like you said, it's not a museum, and it's not something. I mean, it belongs to everybody. It belongs to all the ages, and it should be kept the way it is, and it should be respected. And of course, I believe this Flight 21 crash site area is almost sacred. And I'm feeling that more and more as time goes on. Sure, there's probably going to be some things that pop up every once in a while that may get a little hairy. And like I said to you and Tim the other day, I mean, I would feel much better if you guys protected yourself a little bit more, other than just carrying guns around. I'm talking about spiritually and using like black tourmaline or other crystals, and possibly using some type of affirmations and such. And if time goes on, if you want me to help you with that, I can help you with that. And but that's what I do, and I feel that's very important. Not only does it protect you, but it kind of protects what's there as well. And but I think as time goes on, you're going to be realizing much more. And I'm really looking forward to the video for this past weekend, because it's going to be, just from what you said to me night, I think it's going to start showing itself more and more to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of very interesting, Lon, that you say that, because we've actually been feeling that as well. That I think we're starting to notice patterns. We've only been out there 5 times, but we're already starting to notice patterns. For instance, if it starts off very peaceful and very relaxed out there, we know that when it starts to get dark, that's when things are going to start coming alive. And I don't know if you've seen patterns or traits like that in locations, Lon, but that's what we're noticing. Tim, are you noticing any patterns too?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that you nailed it. We've noticed, like, when we came in there and we felt that super uneasy heaviness on that Victoria Day weekend. It seemed that after we arrived and we kind of walked around for a little bit and said hello, we're here, everything got really good, and then it just kind of floated through the evening. So, but like Dave said, when you flip it around, when it starts off nice and mellow, and Dave said one night, is this the calm before the storm or the storm before the calm, right? And it 9 times out of 10 so far, it noticed a lot of those patterns. It's dead quiet, and you can set your watch by it, and then all of a sudden, whatever's going to happen happens, and then if it decides to happen, it comes like gangbusters. That's it, just like right in your face.
Patterns. I mean, patterns will show themselves eventually. You mentioned that when it starts getting dark and it starts. The activity seems to pick up a bit. I mean, not necessarily the activity, but the heaviness and the other stuff that most humans can pick up on. That starts to show itself. And I have noticed that a lot of places, especially places where there has been violence or death. I mean, it invariably happens there. I've done a lot of cases that do involve death, and where there have been imprints and a lot of energy has stuck around for better or for worse. But in this instance with the Flight 21 area, there's something special there. And I think the big reason is because it's out in the middle of nowhere. You've got a heavy predator and other large animal population, in the area all the time. And they're going to react to it. And I also believe that there's a lot of otherworldly energy that's there as well. And I'm talking about above. And
Right.
I'm myself and my colleague have picked up on that from the very beginning. There is something above that's kind of steering things, I believe. And there also seems to be some magnetic energy as well. And I don't know if that was always there. I don't particularly know what the history of the place is. I mean, indigenously and over the years before the crash. But I have a feeling that that area in particular has had a history to it. And there may be some, not necessarily ley line activity, but I think there's some magnetic and some geo activity there also. So it's kind of like the perfect storm, I would say, where you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff together and then it starts to work and feed off each other. And I picked that up from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's pretty insane with what is truly going on there, and at times it's very uncomfortable. We will get into that a little bit later because we obviously have 5 videos now out on our YouTube channel. Shameless plug there for the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel, Something in the Forest. And I want to ask you something about that, Lon. I mean, we're trying to use as much discernment as possible. We're trying very hard to debunk anything that happens, like the Sasquatch picture, where we're getting deep into that. We tried to debunk it again the other night when we were there, and from the angles that we are going at and everything from the sunlight to everything, it doesn't seem possible to do it. And I think a lot of times when people see things like this on video, they end up kind of looking at it saying, well, you're immediately believing the woo, or you're immediately, taking it that, if there's a tree branch that shakes from a bird flying off of it, well, that's a Sasquatch. You get those people out there who are highly critical, but you'll know better than us. When you're out in the field, you try and be more critical on yourself than what anybody else can be.
Mm-hmm. Well, even though a lot of people discount it, the woo is real. I mean, it happens. There's a lot of stuff we just don't understand. And there are going to be a lot of sightings, phenomena that are just hard to explain. In particular, what I believe is a holographic image of a possible Bigfoot or Sasquatch up into that tree. That, just looking at it, you get the sense that there's just something very otherworldly around that. And I think I don't necessarily think it was a Sasquatch, but I think it was a holographic image that was put up there for your benefit.
Still trying to wrap my head around that one, though, eh? Because, like Dave said, I think we're the hardest people on ourselves as we look at stuff and we're, nah, that can't be. No, that can't be. And then, finally you've just got to, let it go. But yeah, interesting, very, very, very interesting. And it's, I thought, like Dave said, we're pretty tough on ourselves, and off camera we debate about a lot of stuff too, right?
Mm-hmm. So, well, you have to be. I mean, people aren't going to respect you basically unless you really are. Mm-hmm. I have in the past, I've had people accuse me of just believing everything I see and everything that happens, and I tried to be as critical on what I see and what I do as much as anyone. I'm just not a conspiracy theorist. I just don't buy into everything. But when I do see certain things and things are pointed out to me and I get that energy sense or whatever feelings I do get, I got to rely on that. And I've been relying on that all my life. And it's kind of got me through things. And, when it does show itself, I've got to take it into account.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. Gentlemen, hold on right there because we are going to go to break tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Lon Strickler and Strange Days. Lon is from phantomsandmonsters.com. You can get all of his books on Amazon right now while he rebuilds his website. We're going to get into the latest scariness of Flight 21 and Lon's opinion next. let me tell you, I'm scared to go back. Thank you to our mods for taking care of the troll in there. For the record, I have never in my life disparaged a veteran. So when you see bullshit like that, just get it out of our chat room. Veterans have always had a home here in our chat room. We love our veterans here. We respect our veterans here. And we want them to be a part of it. I have a feeling I know who that troll may be. So if they come back, yeah, just pop them. I don't want to put up with lies and garbage like that. I'm having way too good of a night to be bothered by somebody who's drank too much Aqua Velva from Grandpa's medicine cabinet. Magnolia, thank you for your service. We love you around here.
I'll be right back.
Kurt M., how are you doing? Frankie B., thank you for your service, my man. Appreciate you. Love it. Let me know if you're a veteran, because I want to say thank you, because I'm very apparently mean to veterans by saying thank you, and we love you for your service. Seven Systems, how are you? Lon, I'm so excited I'm just chomping at the bit right now to tell our audience what happened this past weekend, and I can't wait for the next half hour.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. I'm looking forward to getting into the video, and I'm really interested to see what the lease comes up with, because and I will do a session myself as well, but it's. From what you described to me, I mean, there's several possibilities, but it's kind of freaky. So yeah.
Christopher Sean, how you doing?
Hey,
John Jackson, good to see you.
The quarter and everything you found, did the dates match up on it?
Pardon me? The quarter?
The quarter that you
it was
across,
the same one. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
I was wondering.
Robert
okay.
Lamoth, thank you for your service in the Navy. Carol Amario, thank you for your service with Homeland Security, retired. Mortal Clown, thank you for the love. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
You know, when I coming from Canada, Tim, you'll know what I mean by this. SG Nav Spotter, how you doing? A great veteran of the United States Navy. You know, coming from Canada, I don't think, like, we don't really grow up with a lot of the veteran stuff. We appreciate our veterans. We love our veterans. But I don't think we're as proud of them as we should be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and then when I watch people in the U.S., race fan in the Army, thank you for your service. You know, when I see people in the U.S. where everybody's so proud to say they served in the armed forces, I feel like I missed out on life that I didn't serve. You know, I really do, because, I mean, veterans are such great people, selfless people.
Mm-hmm.
Just freaking love them.
Yeah, head to the Legion. Head to the Legion on Remembrance Day. That is a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun. Great stories. And yeah.
We got great veterans in our country too. Not as many, but I've got to meet a few over the years, and man,
yep,
they're just great. Just great. Seymour, how you doing? Big thank you tonight to T-Bone, my man. Thank you for kicking off the super chat. Walter, Area 54, Maggie, and Mortal Clown for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. And hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. 8 years, she makes me say her name 3 times every time she comes to the chat room. I don't know why, but she does.
Like Beetlejuice.
I got that, Lon. I got your message. Yeah, we got like 20 seconds. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why, Tim?
Because we don't have any ugly swag, people. No ugly swag.
No ugly swag, just like Tim says. It's Tim guaranteed. Oh, there's a T-shirt. Tim guaranteed.
Oh,
right
geez.
there. Gonna write that down. Tim guaranteed. Here we go. Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Lon Strickler is our guest from phantomsandmonsters.com. We also got little Timmy James in studio for this one. It's a good night of radio. My name is Dave Scott, and we appreciate you tuning us on in. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We got Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. He comes in at the end of each month for a little ditty we call Strange Days here, where we go over weird and strange. And Lon really wanted to concentrate on Tim James and my research on the Flight 21 crash site and the high strangeness around that. Lon, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for taking an interest in Flight 21.
Glad to do it, Dave.
The excitement in Lon's voice never ceases to amaze me. Gotta love him. Gotta love him. Oh, this is why this guy's a pro. That's why he's a pro. You know, I'll guarantee you one thing. I guarantee you. Lon wears a cape when he goes out. Has to. You can't be Lon Strickler without wearing a cape when you go out on investigation, that's for sure. You know? But that's just me. What do you think, Tim?
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
no, that's good.
Oh,
I think so too.
That's very good.
Super Lon.
Super Lon. All right. Lon, would you like to talk about the video that we just posted on our website about time 4? Or would you like to hear what happened this past weekend?
Well, this past week, the fourth video, it was interesting because I felt like I was being muffled. I don't know why. I did hear some growling on the background. I told you earlier when you did go to the first gift site and mentioned the marbles were still there, I heard a growling sound. And I occasionally heard it in the distance as well. And I don't think it was thunder, even though I know there were storms around there. But I don't think that's what it was. But for whatever reason, it kind of felt cut off. But yeah, let's talk about what you guys saw and went through this weekend or heard this weekend, because that's going to be a big part of us going forward with this.
Well, Tim, do you want to start, or would you like me to start?
I think you should start painting the picture, Dave.
Okay, let us bring out our fancy little paintbrush and the colors that will paint this picture of time number 5 out in the field. It started off very, very peaceful. In fact, it felt a little too peaceful, where the birds were chirping all around, the chipmunks and the squirrels were chattering about, the whiskey jacks were flying quickly through the trees, and then silence. So Tim and I, we went for another walk, this time a longer walk down another one of the trails that kind of leads to the tail section and the wings of the downed craft, which is coming up on its 60th anniversary of the explosion that killed 52 people. And we tried once again to recreate the photo. The photo, you can go into our social media pages and see the photo of what looks to be Tim catching a Bigfoot staring at us from up in a tree. Now, we tried again with the light around the exact same time, and nothing really happened. Nothing. We could not recreate it whatsoever. The light was at the same time, because we're trying to do everything the same, around the same time, trying to get the light images. You know, we had a little bit more sunshine that night than we did on the previous time when we tried to check, so we wanted to make sure that we could get that happening. We couldn't recreate it. Couldn't recreate it at all. There was a little bit of following going on. We didn't really find any prints. It was just like nothing was there. You could not feel the Sasquatch. You could not even feel the ghosts. Until about 45 minutes before we were about to leave, Tim and I are having a relaxed moment sitting in our lawn chairs, just kind of chitter-chattering away. And then we just kind of went quiet for a minute. And then to my right, at about, 60 feet into the trees, I would say 50, 60 feet into the trees, we hear a chipmunk go chip, chip, the little sound that chipmunks make. And then it sounded like there was something quickly rushing through the trees. And then the chipmunk immediately went chirp one more time. And I jumped out of the seat. I think I startled Tim.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we got something over here. So immediately I grabbed my binoculars to start looking through the trees to see if I could see anything, and couldn't see anything. And Tim started filming again at that point, when all of a sudden, and this is hard for me to say because this has never happened to me before, and I swear to God, I pray it never happens again. Way off in the distance of where we had just walked that trail about 30 minutes before, we start hearing a woman's voice. Help me. Can you come here? I'm over here. Can you help me? And I said to Tim, did you hear that? And Tim started hearing the exact same words that I was hearing. And Tim, let's get your reaction to this.
Yeah, it was like Dave painted it. It was like a fairy tale. We were sitting there, smelled great, everything was gorgeous. And what I noticed is that the birds, like we've said before, like they seemed to get in nice and close, and it was like, oh, this is great. And then you started hearing them get farther and farther and farther out, and the chipmunks. But when Dave jumped up, I nearly, made a mess of myself. I was, gee, what are you jumping up for? And you could hear, Dave's like, did you hear that? I'm like, no. And then you could hear it as like an undertone. And it was a woman's voice saying, help me, come over here. Help me, help me. And then I think at one point she even said, I love you, help me. And then we heard, I don't know if Dave did. I'm not going to speak for you. Sorry. During that period, then it seemed to move around us a bit. The voice.
Before that, though, there was the man's voice. After the I love you, come help me, the man's voice then kicked in.
Yes.
We're over here.
That's
come
right.
help us.
Yeah.
Come help us. We're over here.
Yeah.
And then it started to move.
Yeah, moved counterclockwise or from where we were sitting. So it came from behind us at just say our 5 o'clock and started rolling around and to our 12. And then I actually heard twice at my, I'd say 10 o'clock. I heard somebody scream twice. And then, and it just kept going and going and going. And then it had quieted down for a minute. And then all of a sudden you hear all the birds and everything kind of come back in and, everything got happy again. And then all of a sudden you'd hear them start going out. And then the voices started again. And it was freaky. Just talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps. But yeah, it just continued. It wasn't just a one-off. I was like, quite disturbing.
I remember saying to Tim Lon that this is exactly one of those moments that David Politis has been talking about on Missing 411, where if somebody hearing that who doesn't know what we're into, they're going to go try and track down that voice or those voices. They're going to try and track down, see if there's people out there. I had this gut feeling, and I said this to Tim, something is trying to lure us into the forest. I said, we're not going, man. We are not going whatsoever. We are not, if we're leaving here, we're leaving in the vehicle and getting the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And once, if we were facing high noon, the sound sounded like they were coming from about 100 yards away from us at about 4 o'clock. Then it moved up to 3 o'clock. Tim started hearing stuff on his left, which would have been about 10 o'clock. And I was like to Tim, I said, do you think we should go? Like, this is starting to feel really uncomfortable. And he's like, no, I don't think so yet. He goes,
let's push it.
Let's get into the, because we had planned on Tim doing the Estus method that night out at the site. And he goes, let's put me under in the Estus method and see what happens. And then we agreed to pack up right after the Estus method. So all of a sudden, Tim doesn't know that he was under for about 22 minutes. He thought it was only about 3 or 4 minutes that he was actually doing it. And I walk about 20 feet away from Tim, and he immediately starts getting answers on the ghost box through the Estus method. But about 8 to 10 minutes in, Tim, you started hearing some very rash comments and like angry laughing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it started off like, and if anybody's done an Estes method, you've got the headphones on, and all you're hearing is, and then voices will or should pop up in that static. You can't see because you've got a blindfold on, and whoever you're with, and I was with Dave. Dave's away, and he's asking questions very quietly. What's your favorite color? What do you like to eat? Or who are you? I can't hear anything. And I'm just blurting out words that I'm hearing. And yeah, it started out with careful trees behind, that sort of stuff. And it was okay. And then it started getting weird. And this one guy, I can't say it on here because it was the FU, and it was F you. And then get out and F off. And then Dave, because I've looked at the video now, I said, I repeated, I heard Dave's name in my headphones, and I said, Dave. And then David said, where do you know, or how do you know me? And I heard in my headphones, and I repeated it, in your dreams. And that was just about the end of it. I think that's when we kind of wrapped it up. There's a lot more in there, but yeah, I think that was the.
And right before that, as that voice started getting angrier and angrier,
yes,
the lady's voice from the trees was now, remember, if we're at high noon, the voice was now at about 11 o'clock and maybe about 60 yards in the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And you could hear her, help me. I'm over here. Help me. Come get me. I'm over here.
Yeah.
Help me, please.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, Lon, what the hell that is, but I can tell you this. Tim and I have never packed my Jeep so quickly as we did that night. And I really feel that it wasn't Bigfoot. It wasn't Dogman. I feel that it was something a little bit more sinister, a little bit more skinwalkerish, Wendigo-ish type of creature. All I know is that for the last 48 to 72 hours, I have been nothing but goosebumps, and I cannot get that out of my head. And I never, ever want to experience that again.
Well, you will.
Oh, I know.
It's going to happen. When I talked to you last night, when you were in the car and you were telling me about this, I asked you if you thought it may have something to do with the crash itself. And you didn't. You said you didn't feel like it was. I've had cases where the energy of the dead are attacked by other beings.
Mm-mm.
And they use that dead energy to feed off of, to keep themselves strong. I think you're getting an overlap of phenomena there. And I think I'm at this point right now, even listening to you talk about it and Tim talking about it as well and getting a better picture of it and things, of course, every time I do something, I hear stuff like this, I start getting pictures in my mind and start thinking of things. I think this is the situation you'd experienced. I think the female voice was probably crash related. But I think there's another malevolent energy there that's not physical, that is basically harassing the dead.
Mm.
And I think this is what you experienced. And it does happen. And the fact that it was on the summer solstice may play into that. Now, I'm not sure of that. It'll be interesting to see what happens the next time you go up there. But I really feel this is not the last time you're going to experience something like that. And in fact, it kind of, I'm kind of excited about it, quite honestly. I think this.
Thank you. Yeah,
I think
you're
this
not
is
the
a
one
point
having to.
where. Well, you know me. If I could be up there, I'd be up there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's what you're looking at here, and that's why I hope to get some insight with some RV intervention with my colleague and maybe myself. Even though I do know, and I'm not going to be, it's not going to be one of those things where I'm going to be going in there cold and just trying to do an actual RV. But impression wise, and from experience and from things that I've heard and felt and dealt with and investigated before, I think that's what's going on. And I implore you guys, like I told you the other day, please protect yourself.
Okay.
You don't want to go into a situation like that and have a psychic attack from something you don't know what it is. And I think this, you have dead energy, you have something that's lingering there. I'm not saying it's residual. I think it's real. I think it's I think there's really some actual energy that's, I'm not saying living, but it's
Right.
something that's there, and it's a remnant of the crash. But there's something else there. There's something else there that's harassing this spirit.
Well, we had spoke with somebody after we left that evening, and it was very interesting because I'm not up on to speed on this sort of thing, but what they were saying is that when you have they felt there's vortexes up there, and when they're going at when they're turning clockwise, that's a positive energy, and then when they're turning counterclockwise, it's a negative energy, and like you said, that then the bad, I guess, or the negative spirits or the negative entities feed on that energy, which is drawing stuff back up and out. And it was like, okay, because everything we saw was moving counterclockwise, or everything that happened was moving counterclockwise. And when they brought that up, I was like, hang on a second. That's the way everything moved around us that night. Normally we could hear it, but it always moved from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. But tonight or that night, everything was moving from 6 o'clock around to 12 o'clock. So everything was going backwards. So I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but it was very interesting.
Well,
sure.
I think the solstice has something to do with that.
Okay.
I think the solstice definitely has something to do with that. And of course, the energy around there, you're going to get a lot of back and forth. They're going to get a lot of different type of sensing different things, and
Right.
like I said before, there's something magnetic there. I can't quite explain it, but there's something magnetic, and there's some energy from above too. And I think that's playing into this. Now, I can't really say what it is, but boy, it sounds very familiar, especially in particular with one case I was involved with that exact same thing happened. And where it was a haunting, but these people moved into a home and had an attachment, and they brought that attachment into a location where there was something already there, and there was a battle.
Yeah.
And that may very well be what's going on here. But you're going to hear it again. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I expect it.
I don't dismiss anything from this location right now. And you know, one of the things after this happened, you know, to hear those voices, and I know there's comments in the chat room right now. Did we call the police? Did we do that? You know, did we see if there were any missing people? No, we did not. And let me tell you why I didn't. And this may sound like a cop-out answer, okay? But Tim and I know this area like very well, very, very well. There is only 2 trails in this area. And in order for anybody to come up those trails, they would have to pass us. First off, we would hear them coming in, and then we would obviously see them coming towards us. And none of that was happening. The scary part about what happened was that feeling, and Tim had it too, and Tim, you can concur with me right after, but it was a feeling of we were being lured. They wanted us to go in. Mm-hmm. And as I talked to Samantha Mowat about it yesterday, and she stated, she goes, Dave, if you would have come in, you wouldn't be here today. If you would have went in there, you wouldn't be here today. You'd have been gone. And in fact, she literally said there was something there ready to attack you. That was her intuitive look on everything. And Tim, I know I didn't tell you that just yet until you just heard that right now. And the one thing I know about Samantha, who's been on this quest with me there prior, she's always right. She is always right. And the feeling, Tim, that you and I both had about feeling that it wasn't human, it was something luring us, and the point of no return for me, that I was not doing anything about it. Tim, I don't know about you, but when it said, help me, I love you, I'm over here.
Yeah.
A person in distress isn't going to say, I love you in that situation.
No. And the thing is, too, is everybody has to remember, we had just walked that whole path where that was coming from. And second of all, the way that it was calling, it was almost elementary. I mean, if that makes any sense, it wasn't childlike, it wasn't whimsical, but it sounded so fake. Like me going, hey, help. It was like, what the heck is that? That wasn't anybody in distress. That's for sure. Well, you know, what you would normally hear if somebody was in distress in the forest. But yeah, it just sounded distant and come here, help. I was like,
fake.
Yeah, not in. Not in.
Like, there was no screaming, there was no whining, there was no crying.
No.
It was just like, help me, I'm over here. Very monotone.
Mm-hmm. That's
very monotone.
Yeah.
And if it was somebody who was hurting, you would expect there to be some emotion in their voices. There was no emotion in these voices at all. And like I said, when it said, I love you, I'm over here, I was like, that's it. I'm out. I ain't doing this. Yeah, Dave's waving the white towel for that night, and we out. Tim, hold on right there. Lon Strickler and Strange Days happens on Spaced Out Radio each and every month. We're going to break down Lon's thoughts on us getting called in the forest.
This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, gents, we are clear. I'm going to quickly step away. You guys can chat.
Yeah, no, I'm going to run upstairs for a moment.
All right, Lon, we'll just put you in the green room for right now, okay?
Okay.
All right, be right back, everybody. All right, I am back. Bring Tim in. And who do we have to say hello to here? Let's just scroll up. Alexander Leslie. Here's a nice comment from Jerence Carter. Dave and Tim are old, but they're quick to spot dangerous situations.
You got that right, you whippersnapper.
That's right. That's right. Tim's 30 years older than me.
Get that walker moving.
EST or race fan, if the voice had said there's Taco Bell, Tim would have lost me right there.
Dave, don't go.
But there's Taco Bell.
It's a trick.
Some knucklehead, welcome to SOR Chat. And thank you tonight to T-Bone ×2, Mel WD40, Mortal, Maggie, Area 54, and Walter for the great super chats. Jeffrey Green, how you doing? Appreciate the love. And don't forget, people, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why, Tim?
Because we don't have any ugly swag.
No ugly swag at all, so make sure you check it on out. And here we go with hour number 2. Here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have Tim James with us. We have Lon Strickler for Strange Days. We're talking about the scariness of Flight 21 and the voices in the forest. That's our title for the next video, Voices in the Forest. Yeah. Oh, man. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Well, where is it? Gaudiloquent. Gaudiloquent is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, let's bring in Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. We have Tim James from our UFO report. And, of course, Tim and I have been doing our investigation out at a place called Flight 21 in the Cariboo of British Columbia. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Good to be here, Dave.
All right. Lon, we ended up pulling out of there. And I'm curious, after what you heard the last half hour of these disembodied voices, what's your thoughts on all of this?
Well, while you were talking about it again, I was thinking back at something I had mentioned to you guys earlier in the investigation. When I looked at the first video, I had sensed, and I don't know if you remember me writing it down, something to do with Vancouver Island that was connected to that crash.
Yes.
Now, that popped in my head when you were talking, and I'm thinking, and that case has never been solved. They have no idea. They have 3 suspects, but they have no way of figuring out who the bomber was.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this may have been connected to the bomber?
Mm. Huh. Now
Personally, I don't think so.
Okay.
And the reason why is you mean the voices connected to the bomber?
The male voice, the offending voice, the one that's hanging around and causing trouble or causing malevolence. I mean, I guess I'm grasping for straws now, but, I started thinking back to when I made that statement to you that I had this very strong sense of something connected with Vancouver Island, and it had to do with the crash. I don't know what the history was with the three suspects, but I got that same sense again. Now, I'm going to have to go back and look, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there, quite honestly. I'm going to have to wait and see what kind of RV that we get from my associate. But I don't know. But I'm telling you, I do believe there's a battle going on there, and it's a good and evil thing, if you want to call it that. And I'm not sure.
I personally don't think so. And the feeling that I get from being up there is that my initial thoughts going into that after the years of investigating up there, Lon, was that the cause of the location is obviously the 52 souls that were lost.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming up on 60 years of that. The effect, though, is, I believe, and maybe I'm just romanticizing a little bit too much on it, but I tend to believe that the Sasquatch are there to protect the souls that are still wandering the forest. Now,
they're definitely sentinels. They are sentinels. There's no doubt about that.
But I think for me, looking at it, I would totally agree with you if there wasn't so much else going on. The UFOs, the aliens, like at the end of it, like Tim, tell them what you picked up when we were leaving.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we like Dave said, we packed up as quick as we could, and I mean, got out of there in a respectable amount of time. That's for sure. But we got down and through the ravine and up the other side and on the road out. And I said to Dave, I just kind of, all right. I said, I feel something weird. And then I said, I just, saw something in my head. And he goes, well, what? He says, just tell me. I said, well, it feels like when we left, I said, it's almost like I could see back up where we were sitting. And it was like 5 things came out of the trees and just stood and looked around and inspected the area that we were at and then backed away. And it was kind of an ironic thing because during the Estus method, I said to Dave, I said, I'm seeing green eyes. So I saw a set of green eyes and I think it was a total of 4 sets of green eyes, something like that. And so when we're leaving, I said, yeah, it feels like they've come in and they've looked. And he says, well, what do you see? What do you think you're seeing? I said, they look like like mantis. They look like 5 mantis come out of the trees, stood there, looked around, and they were tall, tall. And they were like a brownie black. And then they kind of stood and observed where we had been and then just kind of backed off and disappeared back into the trees. And it was weird because most of like the trip back, I was replaying what we had seen, what we had heard, what we had done. And the farther away from where we were, or from the crash site, the farther away we got, it seemed the less I was remembering. And then trying to put it chronologically back into order that night after I got home, it was like I had big blurs, right? It was like, what? How am I forgetting what I've seen or what we've heard or what we thought we've heard? And yeah, it took me still today. Like ran through it a gazillion times and watching the video, I was like, I don't remember that part. It's like I'm missing pieces of that, of the evening, and watching the video, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I don't recall doing that, but yeah, it was really weird, but I did see that. I saw the mantis and it was like, and I'm not that type of person. I don't get those visions. I don't think I do, but yeah, it just seemed to come overpowering. It was like, wow. And was it my imagination? Could be, but yeah, I've never had anything like that before.
Your thoughts, Lon?
It may be connected. I've said from the beginning, I believe that there's there's otherworldly from above influencing the whole site. There may be something to that. And, maybe they showed themselves to you for a reason.
Well, that's
It
what
wouldn't be the first time I've heard that. I believe, all in all, I believe the otherworldly, possible Bigfoot, other phenomena that's hanging around there is a guardian or a sentinel or something to that effect. I have seen this so many times before. I believe, and my thoughts on the Mothman, particularly Point Pleasant, because I believe the Mothman was a summoned being from a very, very strong indigenous spirit at the West Virginia Ordnance Works and possibly other areas around Mason County that was summoned there to protect that energy. Now, in this case, has something been summoned? I don't know. But it may be. You guys have heard the thing about, you people go to cemeteries and see cryptids hanging around cemeteries. Why are they doing that? They're attracted to death. Right. They really are. I mean, I instinctively believe that people see these supernatural beings, and I do believe cryptids for the most part are supernatural beings, show up in areas where there's been death, where the dead are buried, something to do with death.
Right.
Maybe that's what's going on here.
And you had said it earlier, and it's so obvious that it's right in front of your face, and sometimes we don't see stuff. Is that we're not the first people to have been there. We're not. I'm sure. Well, won't be the last people to go up there. Who's been there before us that's messed around and done possibly stupid up there? That's
maybe somebody did a ritual or something, or brought something in there either by mistake or intentional. That's going to require RV work or possibly somebody going in there and trying to pick up on that. I don't know. I haven't felt that.
Right.
I don't know if my colleague has felt that. I don't think she has. But then again, I mean, she just mentioned to me about possibly being territorial. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a territorial thing involved here. Who knows?
Lon, do you think if you were to narrow it down to what it could have been, do you think those voices were something cryptid, or do you think they were something marked for the area?
Oh, there's something. It's something that was there for a while. It's not cryptid. I don't believe. I don't believe. Now, I'm not saying that these cryptids or the guardians aren't aware of it. I'm quite sure they are. And I'm fairly convinced of that because of the way they've interacted with you, especially with the gifting sites. I think they see you two guys as being the mortal link to the site.
Huh.
And because of the way you think about the site, the way you respect it, and the indications from what Dave has told me that he gets told certain instructions, just like the other night on the video. Cut the camera off.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen haphazardly. There's something behind that. I think they see you as a connection.
Okay.
So what in your opinion is our goal here? What is our story that we're supposed to tell?
I don't think that's been revealed yet, but I think you're getting to it, and I think it's going to be eventually. But I'm quite sure they're aware of everybody who's connected to this in the investigation, and I'm talking about me, my colleague, and other people. I don't think they're displeased by it. because I think you get a more profound reaction if they were.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, Juan.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. And I don't know about Dave, but I've talked about this too. Every time we go up there and basically we're wearing the same clothing sort of idea, and Dave parks his Jeep in the exact same spot. And it feels almost, when we get up there's almost a sense of relief. And I'm not blowing our own horn, but they've accepted, or whatever's up there has accepted us. And even that night when we got up there and it was that heavy energy, when we got out and started walking around. So I said to Dave, I said, you can just feel it all coming on, and it's just melting away, and it's getting mellow, and the birds are coming out again. I was like, maybe they're happy that we're here. I don't know, but it feels that way. And I don't feel threatened. I did feel scared the other night, but it's almost like, don't worry about it. We've got your back, and it's very accepting. And there's some turds in the punch bowl, like my grandfather used to say, right? And yeah, they're trying to ruin the party.
Lon, let me ask you a serious question here. Are Tim and I safe?
Yeah. You're probably more safe than what you realize, be honest with you.
Oh.
I do. I think they're watching you too. Now, and I think the reason why they realize there's something around there that could make things a little bit unsafe.
Mm.
Particularly what you heard. And I think what you heard was one indication of that. Though I still believe you should protect yourself.
Yeah.
But no, you're safe. I think you are safe, very safe. And in fact, I feel more inclined to eventually show up there myself after hearing this, because I think there are watchers there.
Yeah.
Above, below, on Earth plane. Yeah, I think it is.
Mm.
But I think they view you as that mortal connection.
Well, we are.
Let's get to some audience questions here. Let's start off with Benno here. Have you guys researched the geology in that site? Any anomalies? No, I have not. What I do know about the area is that it is part of a volcanic area that was almost like a lava riverbed and lake bed that built rolling hills in the area once it died down, I guess. Would that be the proper English term on that? I'm not sure. But there was some, about 1 million years ago, it was a very active lava area. Like, you go in the middle of the forest and you're finding like 3-4 ton lava boulders. They're massive. And it's all over the place. And believe it or not, we actually have a mountain about 20 minutes from here in a little country town called Lone Butte, which actually has a butte there, much like Devil's Tower. Yeah. It's not as big as Devil's Tower, but there is a butte there that sticks up about, 9-10 stories high.
Easy.
How far away from that is it?
About 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
That's interesting. I didn't even realize that.
Oh.
Let's go to Seymour here. You know what? Your weekend host, Dave, had a pretty good discussion going on last night about the Patterson-Gimlin tape. I'd be curious to know, Lon, what you think about all the debunks or attempts. A little bit off topic here.
Futile. I think Patty is the real deal. I really do. And I think the debunks are just something I think most debunkers realize it was a real deal too, and they're just doing all they can to, to stir things up. I think that film is the benchmark, and there have been others too. I mean, the Freeman film in particular. I think there's I think it was real.
I do too.
Me too.
Let's go to Jarence. Did you call the police? I answered that question earlier. No, we did not. Brendan is asking, how do you begin to test this stuff?
God, that's a good question. I mean, we can only do what we have the ability to do. I mean, and we can look for clues. We can, I mean, psychically through RVs, through other means. But you know, I guess it's all perception for the most part. But I believe this particular area may show itself eventually.
Mm.
And I very rarely say something like that about any investigation. But I think there's some things here that just may show themselves eventually.
What is that something?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, for instance, when we say we're involved with a case and the RVer who I work with is in the chat tonight. We do the RVs in order to get clues. Basically, it's a subconscious thing. But many times as you go deeper and deeper into the RV through the phases, it's not supposed to be a psychic endeavor, but invariably becomes one. And when you start looking at all the evidence and all the subconscious clues that come to you, and especially when you're going over with it with others who are doing the same case, the psychic or the intuitive abilities sneak in there. Mm-hmm. And that's when you start really getting the feeling of what may actually be going on. And she's amazing
right.
at it. I'll tell you, the woman I work with, she's amazing at it.
We got time for one more question. We got 90 seconds here. Let's go to Rock and Rory. Would the impact of the crash possibly cause the area to have a geomagnetic shift?
That's hard to tell. You know, I do want to I do want to do a survey or mesh survey of the area eventually. I'm probably going to have to use AI doing that, but I think there is something to that. I think there is something to that. Could the crash have actually done that? I don't know. I think the energy that has been there from a long time ago, it may be geomagnetic. It might be, it could be a lot of things, but the crash, I don't know if the crash really had much impact on that, but it probably heightened everything that happened there.
I don't know if it caused a shift, but it definitely caused an energy shift.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
That's something that I am totally convinced on.
Yeah, when you throw all that energy from the life forces that were lost into something like that, especially an area that may have actually had some other energy involved, yeah, it's going to stir the pot. No doubt about that.
And on that note, we got Lon Strickler for another half hour on Spaced Out Radio. Strange Days continues after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
Oh. blowing my mind.
Lon, I want to ask you this off the air.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Tim and I are pondering right now is potentially adding 2 to 3 more people to the team because, number one, there's safety in numbers. Number two, I think adding a couple people would allow us to do more at once and do a little bit more testing of things in different areas at the same time. And that way Tim and I don't have to split up. And it would also allow Tim and I to split up with other people to see how the results differ once we start getting into a lot of these investigations. What's your thoughts on that? Like, I don't want to contaminate the area with too many people.
No.
I don't know about that, but I think you got to have some presets before you do that. You're going to have to, of course, you're going to have to trust them. You're going to have to make sure you're going to run a tight ship, and any information that they get or come up with is exclusive with you first before anything else is said. I think you want to keep it tight.
Yes. Agreed. We already talked about that.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, as strong as that place is and all the energy it's there, I don't think any addition of other investigators is going to hurt you or going to cause an issue there. Now, I can't talk for how the energies around there are going to react.
Exactly.
They might have their own little, because believe me, if somebody comes in there, he's got an attachment, for instance, or is not as positive as they really should be, whatever's around is going to sense that. It's going to push back. But other than that, I think you're probably okay.
Yeah, there's potential 2 to 3 women we'd like to add to the team and one other guy.
Yeah.
I think I agree with Dave. I think once we get moving along a little bit more, we should be bringing in other people. My thing is excuse me, I think my biggest worry is that we're gaining a rapport with whatever's going on up there, and I don't want to, piss them off, for lack of a better phrase, right? And
yeah, that's what I feel. I mean, and I think you are doing that. I think you are actually developing a rapport.
Okay.
And if you bring somebody in and then the activity shuts down on you or things go in another direction, then that might be indicative of something that they're not happy about.
Yeah, it might be a good idea to bring that up in our little speech before we start filming at the beginning of, maybe start talking out loud to them and see what if we get a reaction about them.
Yeah, you can try that. Yeah. And you guys have used the electronics to a degree, and I don't necessarily buy into all the electronic stuff, but in some cases, and I think maybe in this case it might be valid or helpful. When you guys were using the K2s and you were getting a reaction, I actually felt a palpable feeling that there was something around there.
Right.
And I don't normally say that because
the K2
I
was
just
going
don't,
crazy when Tim was underneath the Estus method. That's for sure.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, that proves it. I mean, I don't normally use those type of things. I kind of rely on myself. Now I will use EVP. I will use a digital recorder on occasion. But yeah, I think that may very well help you to some degree. There's just so much around there.
Right. Hold that thought, because we
Sure.
are coming back in 25 seconds. Thank you to T-Bone ×2, Mel WD40, Mortal Clown, Walter, Area 54, and Maggie for the great super chats. We greatly appreciate your love and support tonight, so thank you very, very much. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why, Tim?
Because we don't have any ugly swag, people.
No ugly swag. Tim called it. It's Tim guaranteed. Right there. It's Tim guaranteed. No ugly swag in our chat room. We're coming back in 4 seconds. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio. We have Lon Strickler, phantomsandmonsters.com, here on Strange Days till the top of the hour. Tim James is with us as well from the UFO Report. Appreciate them coming on in, and we say hello to each and every one of you and remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free. Why are they free, Tim?
Because that's the way you want it, Dave.
That's the way I want it. Free all the time. The only thing I ask for in return is hit that subscribe button or follow. It's easy. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We're talking Flight 21 and the mysteries behind it. Now, Lon, one thing we haven't really talked about tonight before we get to more audience questions is we recently posted up video number 4 from Flight 21, and you really haven't had a chance to break that down. What was your thoughts of that?
Well, I thought the gifting areas and what you saw and possibly the quarters showing up while you were there was interesting. Now, I don't know if Tim went back and looked at it and saw if the quarter was there originally when you first saw the marbles were there.
Yeah, I did go back, and I mean, from the angle, I couldn't see it. Not to say it wasn't there, but from the angle that I was shooting, I couldn't see it.
You want my honest opinion?
Sure.
I don't think it was there.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it was placed there while you were there.
I wouldn't doubt it, because I mean,
The quarter?
yeah.
Yeah. That's why I asked if it was the same quarter, because I just got the sense, I told you that when you did mention about the marbles being there, that I heard that growling sound.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I got that sense. And then when you came back and said excitedly that the quarter was back, I think whatever that growling sound was associated with, and I'm not saying it was a Bigfoot or anything else, but I think it placed that quarter back there. And I think it was probably waiting for you to show up before it did so.
What do you think placed it there?
It was energetic, but I don't think it was a flesh and blood being. I don't think it was a Bigfoot. I don't think it was a Sasquatch. If I had to guess, I would say otherworldly. And when I say otherworldly, I don't mean spirit. I'm talking about above.
Well, that would kind of I shouldn't say make sense, but that is close to the area that we sense that extraterrestrial sort of energy every time we're up there. So makes sense.
It just seems to me that it was sending a message to you.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to do that. I'm quite sure. I'm still baffled by the loony on the trail. I'm still trying to piece that out. Should you have taken it? Yeah, I think you should have, because it was left there for you.
Okay.
regardless of what others have told you. I think it was left there for you. And I also believe it may have been the same situation that it was put there while you were there.
Huh.
Now, if you go back this next weekend and a few other things start showing up, that's going to be interesting.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Time number 6. This is the final time in the first 6. When I first started getting downloads and visions and recalls of it haunting me, this is the end of the 6 times it wanted us to just sit behind. I haven't got any messages from the phenomena since on that I've been able to pick up. Now, I'm curious when that is going to happen, because
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
I'm wondering what kind of sign it's going to be this time.
I think it's going to be very subtle. I don't think it's going to be like what you heard this past week, but on the solstice. But I think it's going to be very subtle, very similar to like coins showing up or something else just showing up out of nowhere, out of thin air. And I think for a while it's going to be like that. I think as time goes on, you're going to start seeing things more. I think the first couple of visits there were a test to see how you reacted to it, and I got the sense that it's pleased with what you've done, and that it still wants to communicate with you. And I think absolutely keep doing it.
Well, we're seeing, I don't know about, again, I'm speaking for Dave, but I know last Saturday when we were up there, there was so much I kept seeing peripherally. Like,
yeah, I remember you saying that.
You just like, my goodness. And, you go to look and there's nothing there, but corner of my eyes, stuff just moving up and back and forth. And it was like, holy, and not threatening, felt fine with it, but it was like, there was just seemed to be a ton of it. And I was like, okay.
Well, you may have more perception as far as that's concerned. Some people pick up on peripheral visions much easier than others. And I think, especially since we had been involved with the Mothman sightings in Chicago, or the winged humanoid sightings in Chicago, we got a lot of people that had peripheral visions. And those people who had peripheral visions were beacons, were people who had abilities. Maybe you have some underlying ability, Tim.
Maybe.
That you can pick up on that.
Yeah.
Somebody said in their sensory overload. Absolutely. I mean, there is sensory overload everywhere you turn there.
Yeah, true.
Now I see where Shorter Cook puts up there. I also see a non-surface structure object, shape of a bird, may shapeshift or disappear. I think the guys will see it if you haven't already. A single bird, large. Well, yeah, you guys. Maybe the grouse was a sign of that.
Could be.
Yeah, I mean, just like when I have talked about the owls, and my story with the owls before my abduction, seeing them for all that period of time. I think, and a lot of time people do see birds or something associated with birds or something winged.
Right.
There may be something to that.
All right, let's go to another question here. And let's go over to Paramarv, who is asking, Samantha Mowat said that something was waiting to attack you. Did she have any indication as to what it was? Was it even corporal, or was it spirit? She felt it was something Wendigo type creature. She felt that it was something along those lines, Wendigo, Skinwalker. That was the feeling that she has got from the area, because in her times when she has spent out in that area, she's picked up on that type of energy as well. Now, obviously, you're never 100% correct, and other people have said that. Robin Haynes, we talked to Robin Haynes as well about it. She felt it was Dogman or Wendigo as well. She said she was picking up Dogman energy in the area, but not up close and personal. And I think it could be, we don't know what it is. We really don't. And Lon obviously has a differing opinion on what he's picking up. So we have to go through all of these different energies to try and figure out, next time what it might be.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything corporeal. Be it it's a Wendigo or maybe a cryptid canine or something, a cryptid of some type. I mean, a Wendigo is basically a human that's infected with tendencies other than, normal behavior. They can shapeshift, but it's almost like a skinwalker almost in a way. But I don't get the sense that it's corporeal. I think it's something more non-corporeal, something more spiritual, maybe spiritual, but there's a lot of energy there. Is it coming in and out? Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got portals, gateways, vortexes. You got the whole 9 yards hanging around there. Wouldn't be surprised you start hearing buzzing sounds of active portals. That may show up eventually. That's just my opinion, but that's just the sense I'm getting.
I think it could be a buildup of something alien coming.
It's possible.
Because we really haven't. Tim got a little bit of a glimpse, and then what Tim saw the other day. I'm wondering now if there's something alien coming, and they're building us up for that.
Well, I do get the overwhelming sense that it's something from above.
Yeah.
Take that however you may. It may be be something that comes through a portal, maybe something that comes through a gateway. It may be something that's above and watching you. I mean, you've had UFO activity in the area. You've had possible extraterrestrial involvement there. Wouldn't surprise me. It may be summoned. It may be attracted to the energy there. At this point right now, we really can't pinpoint what it is, but there's a lot of facets involved here.
Oh yeah.
And, maybe eventually we'll pick up on it, but I think what you've done is so far, is admirable. And, I think they're accepting it.
Appreciate that. Let's go to Brendan. Are there any historical events at that patch of woods you are aware of? The answer is no. There could be. We don't know. Outside of the volcanic area of about 1 million years ago and the plane crash site. Now, we do know that was First Nations territory. There is, if you drive another 25 kilometers, there is a reservation out in that area. So, I mean, could be. I'm not closing the door to that. It's something once Tim and I get more deeper into this, like in the off season, because come November when the snow starts to fall, we're pretty much done until May next year anyways. And that's time where we can actually go into the library or go talk to First Nations groups and say, what was this area like prior to this incident? So that's something that we're planning on doing too. Let's go.
What nation is up there?
Canham First Nation. They're part of the Chilcotin tribe. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Okay.
Walking Lightly is asking, if you were to remote view the cryptid dudes, would they notice you doing so, Lon? And also, would their handlers or people monitoring them notice?
I have only ever been in one situation where I believed I was noticed. and the monitor pulled me out because she realized it too. And yeah. And I found something out the other day on my show that Delise, who was also trained by the same person I was trained by, had the same thing happen to her. So it does happen. Now, as far as cryptids go, I don't know. I mean, those RVs that her and I experienced were off-world experiences. But as far as cryptids, it's possible. But yeah, I mean, when you do an RV on a cryptid, it's a bit different because you're not really dealing with something that is more life-based as opposed to something that's more of a phenomenon, more an anomaly. Many times when if you do an RV involving a possible extraterrestrial or another worldly being, and it's happened to me many times, you go to about the third or fourth phase and you get cut off, and it just completely stops. That can happen with cryptids, but I think with cryptids you get a quicker answer, a quicker idea what you're dealing with.
Right.
Let's go to another question here. Let's go to Walter, who is asking, why or what wants to lure you into what? Why? Where? That's what we're trying to figure out, man.
Only the shadow knows.
All right. So 7 minutes to go here. Let's get to Joe's question. Is it possible that the plane crash was caused by something in the area that existed before the plane crash? No, I don't believe so, because when the plane took off from Vancouver, there was a briefcase. A gentleman brought a briefcase onto the plane, and it blew up in the bathroom stall at the tail of the aircraft, ripping the airplane apart. So I don't think it has anything to do with like a Bermuda Triangle type area or anything along those lines. Tim, what are your thoughts?
No, I mean, it's well, yeah, to us, obviously, it's just too obvious that this is what's happened. And I mean, why it crashed there, who knows? I mean, we could go down a rabbit hole that way, but no, definitely blew the whole back end off of the airliner. So it had no choice.
Yeah. If you look at the forensics, the RCMP pretty positive that there was a bomb that went off.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. And I believe that's definitely what happened.
I would agree with you on that one. Let's go to J Truth Seeker here. Do you have any experience of trying to use the sound of buzz tones to open up rock portals? No, I do not. Once again, Tim and I had planned on doing this for a minimum of 2 to 3 years. We made a 2 to 3 year commitment on doing this. We'll take it by we'll take it by ear after that. But I think for me, we're going to have to learn all of these different techniques over time. And this might be something like we have talked about the portals and the possibilities of portals. And, I want to talk to somebody who's actually been around portals like Trey Hudson to talk to him and others who've had portal activity in hot spots like this. I'm even going to message certain people at a certain ranch in Utah about this. I mean, we want to be able to try all things. And I think as this topic and this area becomes a little bit more popular, that's when we're going to see many other people maybe step in with more technology and better investigative skills than Tim and I have, and we'll become more like tour guides rather than actual investigators, which I hope doesn't happen too much, but you know what? We have to learn too.
That's right.
No offense to Tim. Tim's not an investigator. Dave here me, is definitely not an investigator. So we're learning on the fly as we go. Tim.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And I think the other thing is too is that, like you said, during the off season, I think the studying and research is super important as well. Instead of just going up and trying to experience and decipher what the experience means, I think that like Dave said, going to libraries, going to the archives, going and figuring out what has happened in that area previous to the crash, if any, will also help bring that together. I would hope so.
What's your thoughts, Lon?
Yeah, I mean, the downtime is you're going to have to take downtime anyway. So yeah, take advantage of it and use all the sources you can. And I think you will. And anything that's available to you that's trustworthy, I think is a good way to go.
It's learning on the fly, and don't forget, we have to learn absolutely everything on this, from camera angles to, Tim hit a camera angle the other day that made me look like I was about 300 pounds. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I look horrible.
I know.
Horrible. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome. I looked at myself in a couple of those too, and I was like, oh my gosh, dude, you got to.
He's like, oh my gosh, stop eating the nachos before you go into the field, Dave.
I can't wait till he gets a shot where you're scared to death, and that's the one I want to see.
Well, there was a little bit of that in the one that'll be coming up this week.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That is for sure. So, I mean, it is going to be interesting to see what happens. Lon, if using your intuition, as we got about 2.5 minutes to go, what do you see happening this Saturday when we go out there?
Have I thought that far ahead? I don't know. But I think you're going to get some positive signs. I think you're going to get something that you can work with.
Oh, excellent.
I think that's coming. And I think, that's just the way I feel. I feel that you're going to get some positive signs. When you do cases like this where it's you're very unsure what's really going on, every once in a while something will pop up, and you'll want to go into it further. You'll become more confident as you go along, and I think we're reaching that point.
Tim, any final words?
Thank you, Lon. We appreciate your support and your words of wisdom, because like Dave said, we're a couple of knuckleheads out there trying to figure it out as we go, and we do appreciate your guidance and your help.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think the other thing too is we have to remember the phenomena will only throw at us what it feels we can handle. It will give us tests.
Yeah.
Like, I believe those voices in the forest were a test to see how we would react. And the phenomena is going to keep throwing things at us that we're not quite used to, that we aren't quite ready for. And it's going to test us to see how we do. Lon, 20-second answer, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, you're going to be tested as long as you're going out there. I mean, it's going to... it's not going to decide that you can do everything you want to do at one time. It's going, it's going to give you some tests, and they're going to see how you react. And, but I think you're capable of passing the test. And, you've been doing this show long enough. You've talked to enough people to know that what you should and shouldn't do.
Thank you, Lon Strickler, from Strange Days at phantomsandmonsters.com. The UFO Report and Swamp Dweller are next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great job, Lon. Great job.
Yeah, Delise said they want you there, and I totally agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. We're keeping it safe for right now. It's just a matter. Oh, quickly tell Lon about your wife.
Oh, about her ID.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
want your thoughts on this before we let you go, Lon.
Yeah,
Okay.
um she'd gone. Well, she came out with us one trip. You've probably seen it. She walked down the trail and to use the facilities, and she got home and she lost her ID and her firearm certificate, and couldn't find it. And then when Dave and I went to the original gifting site this weekend, it was sitting face up so we could see it over at the gifting site.
I'm not
The original
surprised.
gifting site.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Well, she
Yeah.
just about flipped right out.
Wow.
Yeah, it was freaky. All right, Lon. We'll talk to you
Okay.
soon.
Okay. Talk to you.
Thanks, Lon.
Keep me posted.
Oh,
Will
yeah.
do. Take care. Lon Strickler, everybody. Delise, thank you for your help wherever you are. Thank you for your help. And Lon's team, thank you guys. We're going to continue it on. I'll be right back, Tim, if you want to hang out, or do you want me to put you in the green room?
Oh no, I'll just they can try to move my chair too. I've got to run upstairs.
Okay. All right. Got a minute to go here. And anybody else jump in? All right. I will fast, Hemi, I promise you. It's almost time to retire this chair. Thank you tonight to T-Bone ×2, Mortal, Mel, Walter, Area 54, and Maggie for the great super chats. We appreciate your love and support. And here we go with hour number 3. Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Gaudiloquent. Gaudiloquent is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I'll start off by saying that this is not my story, but it was such a crazy encounter that I have since asked each of my friends through the years to recount the events. This happened around the year 2000. About a year after this took place, I started dating one of these friends, and that's when I first heard about this dog or a wolf. I have since asked each friend, over the years miles apart, and they all remember the same exact encounter, almost down to the exact detail. Before my ex James was even my boyfriend, he and our friends were about 17 to 18 years old. At that age, I remember it being an adventure to find a place to smoke. Let's hike to insert spot here and go puff. The group was consisted of James, his best friend Brad, and their girlfriends Shannon and Mel. The four of them decided to drive to Mount Pisgah, a beautiful wooded area outside of Eugene, Oregon. It's more of a hill, to be honest, but it's nature in its prime for sure. I've been out there many times growing up, and I know exactly what trail they were on. The main one that connects the parking lot to the river. They had driven in Brad's little white sedan, parked in the parking lot, and then walked across the river. On the way to the river from the lot, there's a small bridge that crosses a small creek. This will be relevant for later. The group spent the day out there swimming and puffing and swimming. Just being typical Oregonian teens. I can imagine that hunger is what drove them to go home after a couple of hours. As the sun began to set, either activity alone is bound to get some people hungry, let alone both. So, they walked along the well-worn main dirt path to the parking lot. This path has since been paved according to Google Maps. It does not take more than about 20 minutes or so for them to get back to the little footbridge by the parking lot that they had crossed when they hiked in. When they reached the small footbridge near the parking lot, Brad looked out into the vast field between them and the wooded mountain and noticed a huge dog near the tree line, probably 100 yards or so away. They all later described it as the biggest dog they had ever seen. The dog was just sitting there, not looking scary per se, just looking absolutely humongous. But from Mel's and James's descriptions and the drawings she did for me later in around 2005, it was very shaggy and furry looking. I may even still have that notebook where she drew the dog thing in. If I find it, I will send it into the show. My friends continued to walk across this small wooden bridge, and one of the girls screamed. The big dog was now on its hind legs, walking like a person, standing much closer than when they had last seen it. a couple of seconds earlier. It had somehow traversed most of the large field in the seconds it took for them to get across the 10-foot-long bridge. Whatever this thing was, it was quiet, fast, and stealthy. My 4 friends ran to the car, and they had the classic cliche, "I can't get the key in" moment, because Brad was fumbling madly for the keys out of anxiety. At this point, the dog was standing on its hind legs at the very edge of the parking lot looking at them. Still, it had this dog face and this dog-like body, but it was standing up. It just seemed so unnatural. They never saw it walking on all 4 or just 2. It just seemed to teleport and move closer and closer. It was like every time they looked up, it was just standing there, but closer. As James had said, every time they looked up, he was closer but not moving. All of them recounted how surreal it was to see a dog standing on its hind legs with no effort. I don't know if it ran for a few ticks then stood up again at intervals in the field, but that's the way they described it. Many times I had asked them, "Are you sure it was not a bear?" And every single time they would say no. It was a dog standing on its hind legs, a big dog that was stalking them. This happened in Lane County, Oregon, sometime around the year 2000. There are few if any bears out there. It would be odd, but then again I wasn't there. The kids got into the car and sped off, leaving the Pizcaw dog to his own business. I've never had a reason to doubt any of their stories. In fact, Shannon doesn't even like talking about the incident at all because it's creepy for her and gives her anxiety.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, ring that bell, hit subscribe. You got thousands of stories just like that for free. Time for the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, little Timmy James hanging on out with us tonight with a UFO report. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Lon just never ceases to amaze me, man.
Nope. He's an effing legend.
He is a total legend.
Yeah.
Total legend. You know, I mean, I wonder what's coming next.
I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously stating the obvious. I don't know, but yeah, I just feel that he's bang on. I think that we're going to see or feel or hear something substantial. I mean, not over the top, but yeah, it's nice to listen to Lon talk because I mean, somebody with that much experience and that much obviously research experience and being involved with that sort of stuff firsthand kind of puts things into line and a little bit more perspective where I can see where we're at a little more instead of guessing. It's nice to have that, and I really do appreciate him not only for that but all the help he's been giving us. It's awesome.
I love it too, man. I love it too. But there is UFO news out there, and what do you got for us?
Well, U.S. Space Force Major General John Olson dropped a bombshell at a recent press conference declaring with unwavering certainty there absolutely is life out there. The statement, delivered in his official capacity, marks a stunning departure from the typical guarded rhetoric of military officials on the subject of extraterrestrial life. Olson's words, spoken not in casual conversation but on a public stage, sent shockwaves through scientific, military, and civilian circles, raising questions about what the Space Force might know that the public doesn't. Olson, a seasoned officer with decades of experience, including piloting 83 different aircraft, grounded his assertion in both personal observation and cosmic perspective. If we look at Earth, it is this tiny blue dot in an ultimately large cosmos, he said, emphasizing the sheer scale of the universe as a basis of his belief. He went further, acknowledging that he and other Air Force pilots have encountered unexplainable elements during flights, hinting at firsthand experiences that defy conventional understanding. These remarks, made in April of 2023 and reiterated in June of 2025, suggest a level of openness rarely seen from a high-ranking military figure. The general's comments come at a time when the U.S. government has incrementally declassified information about UAP. His assertion, aligns with growing speculation that the military possesses knowledge about extraterrestrial phenomenon far beyond what has been disclosed. This isn't a podcast or an off-the-record chat, one observer noted, underscoring the weight of Olson's public declaration. The Space Force, tasked with protecting U.S. interests in space, has been tight-lipped about UAP and UFO investigations, making Olson's candidness all that more striking. Critics argue that Olson's statement lacks hard evidence, potentially undermining the credibility of the Space Force itself if no substantiation follows. Supporters, however, see it as a bold step towards transparency, reflecting a broader shift in how the military engages with questions about life beyond Earth. The cosmos is vast, and to think we're alone is naive, Olson remarked, doubling down on his conviction. Whether his words signal an imminent disclosure or simply a personal belief rooted in experience, they have undeniably shifted the conversation. The Pentagon is yet to comment officially, leaving Olson's statement to stand alone for now. As the world grapples with its implications, one thing is clear. A senior military leader has staked his reputation on the existence of extraterrestrial life, and the public is listening.
My thoughts on it are this. Isn't this disclosure?
Yeah.
People are calling for disclosure. You have a high-ranking general within the United States Space Force who is literally saying, oh, there's life out there. Now, what he doesn't say is we found it. What he doesn't say is we have the parts or the bodies or whatever. He doesn't say that.
No.
But what he does say is it's out there. And he says it so matter-of-factly, you would think that he is hiding something behind his back. You would think that he knows more than what he can say, and that's all he's allowed to say. Because anybody can say, look, the universe is infinite. We haven't found the end of it, and with it being so big, there's no way that we're the only life in the universe. That's the easy cop-out answer. But to come out and state what he stated just so matter-of-factly, it really makes me believe that he disclosed.
Mm-hmm.
He disclosed right there. And what more do people want? We're not going to get the parts. Like, I'm not trying to be a downtrodden person here. We're not going to get the UFOs, people. We're not going to get the alien bodies. We're not going to find out what happened at Roswell. And if we do, it'll be long before most of us are dead on this planet. Or long after most of us are dead on this planet. Hate to put it that way. But we have another person, high-ranking official, coming out saying they're out there, Tim.
Yeah. And the thing is it was announced in an official capacity. So, like you say, he wasn't sitting around the bar and talking with six guys, or he wasn't, again, just kind of letting it out. He said it in front of an audience in an official capacity, and that's it. Like, you're right. That is disclosure. Short of him showing up with a U-Haul and a UFO in the back, I mean, I don't know what else. I'd love to see that. Don't get me wrong. Come up to the parking lot. I got something to show you. Okay, great. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see that. And you're right. These secrets and these secrets and things kept in the dark and put in closets. All that stuff isn't going to rear its head at any time soon. I would very, very highly doubt that. So watching him, or at least having him go up there, and to me, that's more than a witness, if that makes any sense. He's staking his reputation on it, and he's put it out there. Now everybody knows that he said it, and everybody that he's worked with in Pentagon, everybody knows this now. So exactly, there maybe that's working for the Pentagon too, right? Hey, let him go, let him tell it. Yeah, that's fine. We all know that there's stuff that we can't identify out there. Arrows prove that. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to see what else comes of it. But I don't think there's going to be anything monstrous. I just think it's just more and more and more people coming out of the woodwork that feel comfortable enough to say, "Yep, no, we've been there, we've seen it," and I know it's a trust me, bro thing, but I mean, it is what it is, right?
Quelle l'opinion du crowd sur la réalité des UFO? 100% or skeptic like everyone? Oh, 100%.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah. I can understand a little bit of French. It's the Canadian in us. You know, you have to. I probably butchered the pronunciation. Quelle l'opinion du crowd sur la réalité des UFO? Or UFO? I got to remember. UFO. Yes. There we go. I butchered that again, but that's
grade 8 French.
It was a good opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I did get the quelle l'opinion.
Very nice.
That was nice. That felt good rolling off the tongue that way.
Definitely.
You know what? Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
When Space Force was formed a number of years ago, I remember Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, coming out and saying that we have to protect ourselves from the space pirates that are out there. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see, Captain Blackjack with his eye patch and his peg leg and his hook for a hand going out in space, cruising along in a sail ship, looking for space gold that we have to protect ourselves from. Well, the space pirates, it could only mean one thing. It could only mean aliens. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what he meant by space pirates. And if he tries to deny that, he's lying. It's that simple. So the whole point on that I'm getting at is we know that they are studying UFOs. The United States Space Force hasn't come out fully said it, but we also know that they had hired Lou Elizondo, David Grush, and others to look into the UFO program, and that may still continue for some of them today. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the other thing is, too, is I know that we always focus on the U.S., but this Space Force is united as well, right? Like, we're not just talking about the United States. We're talking about, Germany and other countries that are involved in this. So, it's, I know that, and I'm not trying to sound derogatory, and if I am, I'm sorry, but, we know that the U.S. likes to stand on a soapbox at times, or some of their officials do, and say, and whatever, that it is what it is, and I'm not going to get political about it. But there's other countries that are involved in this. My question is okay, he's just said something. What's the German side of this? Their general going to say? Like, what are the other people involved in this have to say about this? Never mind the Pentagon. The people that are actually involved in this from different countries, what do they know and what do they have to add to this, if anything? That's where my brain's going.
100%. 100%. And those are logical questions. What are other countries doing? But I think, though, Tim, and please don't take this the wrong way, but I think at times we can all, as outsiders of the United States, we could be a little bit naive in thinking that the U.S. government doesn't have a world vision on this topic. I mean, look, we have incidents here in Canada where you are, where I am, and many of our listeners are, even though the majority of our listeners are in the beautiful United States, that we know is being covered up here. We know that we have had incidents up here that are reported to NORAD and never make the time of day here.
No.
How many of those incidents? We know it's happening with the Five Eyes. We know it's happening with other treaty agreements the U.S. has. They have a lock on this subject because it's real easy to lock things down when you're the big name player in defense, and you're protecting the Western world.
True.
Right? So
Yeah.
do they get a little bit of extra say in what's going on? Hell yeah, I believe that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Totally believe that for a second.
No, true.
But the overall aspect of it, what do we want from disclosure? Everybody thinks it's got to be the President of the United States. Canada could disclose fully. Say, hey, we've got aliens. We've given them to the United States. You know what the United States is going to say? They're going to say, those crazy Canadians are drinking beer and eating donuts while riding moose again. They've taken one too many slap shots to the head. That's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit there and say, yeah, Canada's right. They've got aliens. They've got UFOs. They're so nice up there. They're not going to say that at all.
No.
And Canada isn't going to test that because, number one, if it wasn't for the United States, we would be a very, very large landmass that could be invaded by everybody. And number two, we need the United States more than the United States needs us. Many Canadians don't want to admit that, but the way our governmental system is set up, we need their protection. Because we're not taking care of our own men and women in the force.
No. Definitely not. Yeah.
So,
and you're right. Nothing to see here. And that's just it. I mean, we're just going to tuck it away. And it's already been made perfectly clear by the Canadian government that they don't investigate anything unless it's an imminent threat. We could report things 1,000 times and they're like, yeah, okay, thanks. Who knows what they're doing behind closed doors, but up here, it doesn't explode and get all crazy. I don't know what it is. I have no idea why.
100%. And that's exactly it. All right, we got about a minute 42. What else you got for us, Tim?
Oh, I got some other stuff for after the break. I got a story on Mr. Eric Davis. Got another one. NASA, old flight surgeon has come out and said he has seen the UFOs, and they have witness testimony coming out that parked in a hangar. They saw it. So some other stuff like that. Richard Dolan's in the news again.
What's Richard Dolan in the news for?
Well, he is just basically saying that he was on the YouTube on the Vetted channel, and he is going through decades of research unveiling that the claims of groundbreaking account of alien encounters. So he's got that going on, and there's a bunch of stuff. It's all about alien encounters, and it seems to be a lot of shift in perspective on interviews with people. So I got a few stories for that and some other stuff up my sleeve.
Well, you know what? That's one thing about this subject when it comes to UFOs that we really, really never run out of. And that is, this story keeps growing in different directions. It's grown legs of its own. And we got to follow every path that it goes down.
Yes.
We have to. Because if we don't, hey, we may miss something. And we know that you guys listen to us for that UFO news out there, because you sure as heck aren't getting it in the mainstream. So you got to tune into us, tinfoil hat wearing weirdos, to make it happen. This is Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue with Little Timmy James and the UFO Report when we return on the Mighty SOR.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
I had to open the window, man. It was so warm in here.
Oh, I know. I'm sticking in my chair.
Oh, yeah.
We're both in our basements. I mean, it's about 400 degrees cooler down here, but still.
Well, the studio, I mean, you've been in the studio. I mean, with the insulation that I have in here to make it soundproof.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get the heat of the gear of the computers and everything. It gets freaking warm in here. I mean, it's great in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
But come summertime,
Mm-mm.
Nope. Little too hot.
Definitely.
I know. I can't wait for Saturday.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Oh, Christine's bugging us. How hot is it up there? A whole 65 degrees? Yeah. Well, hold on.
Oh, hang on.
Convert Fahrenheit. Hold on.
What are we at?
It's 62.6 degrees, and I'm about to break a sweat out here.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat. It was actually humid today.
It was nice out today.
Yeah.
I rather enjoyed today.
Yes, it wasn't too bad.
I ended up watching like 6 episodes straight of The Blacklist yesterday.
See?
Yeah. What pisses me off is every show ends on a cliffhanger that
Oh, yeah.
makes you. Yeah. Pisses me off.
the hook.
I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Christine is, OMG, did you say it was in the 60s and you're hot? God, spoiled brats. I'm so jelly. No, it's a dry heat here. 17 degrees Celsius or 62.6 degrees Fahrenheit is the perfect temperature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 17 degrees. But so if we go, my favorite temperatures are between 17 and 24 Celsius.
Yep.
So what's 24? 24 degrees is 75 degrees Celsius.
Yep,
If I
perfect.
can get it 16, anywhere really realistically between 15 and 24, that's the perfect temperature for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
Fast Hemi, I would agree with you on The Blacklist, man. I'm only in season 2 right now.
Oh, you got a long way to go.
I still can't believe that. I mean, if it's this way now,
Oh, just wait.
yeah. So don't spoil it, anybody, for me.
No.
But I do know this, that I'm really confused right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, spoiler alert. Season finale or series finale, his dog dies.
Okay.
Didn't know he had a dog. I don't know.
He hasn't got a dog yet.
That's right. No, he never. I don't think he ever did.
I'm only. Hold on. Quel âge tu as? Are you elder? Well, Tim is an elder. Tim's about 94.
Yeah.
Watching him use his walking his walking canes. No, you got the, what the hell do they call those things? My mom had one. You know, where it's got like the 4 wheels on it and you're kind of push it.
Yeah, the walker with handbrakes on it.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this about The Blacklist. There's a lot of conspiracy theories in there that in the first 2 portions that I've watched, a lot of conspiracy theories that have come true. Human Carl is here, everybody. Human Carl, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. We love you, Human Carl. He goes, it was 106 Fahrenheit outside my 5th wheel, 92 inside. Stop whining. Oh, my God, I would die, Human Carl. I would totally die. T-Bone times 2, Mortal, Mel WD-40, Walter, Area 54, and Maggie. Thank you for the love and support of Spaced Out Radio with your super chats. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. And we're getting to get going here in about 10 seconds. Love it when Human Carl's here. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio, the UFO report continuing right after this. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining me. We appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss most of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's our good friend, Little Timmy James, and the UFO report. Appreciate you, Timmy. What do you got for us to kick things off?
Well, the former NASA flight surgeon claims he witnessed classified footage of a U.S. Air Force flying saucer in 1992. So Dr. Gregory Rogers, former NASA chief flight surgeon and U.S. Air Force major, has revealed that he viewed classified security footage in 1992 showing a 20-foot wide flying saucer inside of a hangar at Cape Canaveral, Florida. 68-year-old who recently retired from the Department of Defense broke his 32-year silence in an exclusive interview with the Daily Mail this week. Rogers, who was stationed at NASA's Cape Canaveral facility during the height of the space shuttle program, recounted the incident that took place in the spring of '92. An Air Force major whom Rogers described as unfamiliar and eager to demonstrate his authority led him to a locked room and accessed a closed-circuit television feed. He sits down at the computer console. It takes several minutes. Then all of a sudden, up on the screen comes this closed-circuit television feed, Rogers said. There's a flying saucer. The craft, according to Rogers, approximately 20 feet wide, 8 to 10 feet tall, featured a shallow dome on top and no visible antennas, rivets, or flight control surfaces. Everything was very smooth and blended. I saw no seams, nothing, he noted. The saucer bore U.S. Air Force insignia, which left Rogers stunned. I'm thinking, this is ours? He recalled. The footage showed personnel in lab coats and hazmat suits surrounding the craft. A loud horn sounded, prompting the technicians to clear the area, followed by what Rogers described as an electromagnetic charges emanating from the vehicle with no apparent source. All of a sudden, it just lifted up, as smooth as it could be, he said. It rotated completely around clockwise 1 revolution and then counterclockwise 1 revolution and tilted 45 degrees while hovering. Rogers emphasized the craft's unconventional behavior, stating, I know exactly what I saw that day, and it was in no fashion a conventional flying vehicle. He speculated that the saucer's propulsion system was unlike anything known to human aviation at the time, hinting at advanced technology, possibly reverse engineered from extraterrestrial sources. When he questioned the Air Force major about the craft's origin, the officer reportedly pointed upward and said, we got it from them. The former flight surgeon, who was responsible for safety inspections and medical care for NASA personnel, including the astronauts, said he was sworn to secrecy and did not even tell his wife about the incident for 15 years. He criticized the major for sharing the classified footage, suggesting it was an attempt to show off his importance. Rogers' decision to come forward was motivated by recent testimonies from other Department of Defense whistleblowers who have spoken to Congress about the military's possession of advanced non-human technology. I have heard a number of members of Congress express their desires to hear more of the experiences of any additional whistleblowers, Rogers said. Therefore, I'm presenting my story. He also claimed the astronauts had confided in him about encounters with unidentified objects during space missions. Astronauts have discussed UFOs with me, he said, vehicles that were not part of the human space program. Even flying in formation with them is not uncommon, he noted. That the stigma has prevented many of them from speaking publicly about such experiences. The footage Roger described has not been released, and no official confirmation from the U.S. Air Force or NASA has corroborated his account. However, his credentials as a former chief flight surgeon and Air Force major lend weight to his claims, which adds to a growing body of testimony suggesting the U.S. military may possess advanced technology of unknown origin. Rogers hopes his disclosure will encourage others with similar experiences to come forward, potentially prompting further congressional scrutiny of classified aerospace programs. Am I seeing a pattern here with a bunch of people that are retiring out of high-ranking positions and top secret positions? I'm just curious.
Well, I think there's a lot of frustration going on in that field, and I think that a lot of these guys who've been there forever, they've had to play the game with the secrets for a long time. And look, these aren't whistleblowers. These are people just saying what they've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they haven't filed for whistleblower protection. They're not on the whistleblower list that we know of. But there are a lot of people, from what I hear, who are just tired of it all. Okay? They're tired of the cover-up. They're tired of the lies. They're tired of everything being a secret. And for some of them, as their career comes to an end and their NDAs come to an end, they get to the point where they're like, screw it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I may only have a few years left in life. I don't want to go down with a guilty conscience. And there we go. They say what they can say with pushing the lines, but without getting themselves in trouble. They may get a stern yelling on the phone, but they're not going to get any jail time. They're not going to get any backlash against their NDA or their pensions cut or anything. But I think a lot of these guys, and we forget that these people are human.
Of course.
Okay? And they do have feelings, and sometimes, you know, you can claim to be a patriot. Like Lou Elizondo is somebody who uses the word patriot a lot. Like that person's a patriot. This person's a patriot. And I don't deny that for a second. Okay, if somebody's willing to work their ass off to protect their home country and citizens, that's a patriot to me. Okay? That being said, a lot of these guys, I believe, are just tired. They're tired of the politics. They're tired of the game. They're tired of the secrets. Okay, NASA being one of the biggest liars out there when it comes to UFOs, and you know how much I hate using the word liar.
Right.
Okay, they're tired of it. And for somebody like this to come out and say what he saw, there's questions that need to be asked for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Where? What hangar? What building? Was it underground? Was it just open up the doors and there it is? Because I believe if it would be open up the doors and there it is, I'm pretty sure it's could be one of ours.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
But I can understand the human aspect of this, where these men and women who've dedicated their lives to secrecy are finally looking at it, seeing the world going to all hell in a handbasket, and saying, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I agree with you very much so, because I've just seen this pattern emerging, and it does make sense. And yeah, I get it. I mean, after all these years, and what did you do, and what did you see? And I don't know if I'd want to go to my grave knowing, keeping a lot of these secrets. Obviously a lot of things would stipulate whether I did or didn't, but just knowing the fact that my fellow humans or humanity's being duped and being fooled like we didn't know in the first place. But yeah, I don't think I'd be comfortable closing my eyes and saying goodnight to everybody and not telling the truth. I don't know. That's just me though.
What else you got for us? Tell us a story about Richard Dolan.
Okay. So just today, UFO historian Richard Dolan, prominent figure in ufology, with over 2 decades of research, unveiled what he claims is a groundbreaking account of an alien encounter detailed in a YouTube video on the vetted channel. Known for his meticulous analysis in works like UFOs and the National Security State, Dolan has built a reputation for grounding speculative topics in historical and documentary evidence. This latest revelation, however, marks a bold departure as he presents what he describes as a first-hand narrative of an extraterrestrial encounter that he asserts has never been shared publicly before. So Dolan in the video describes the encounter as a chilling interaction involving a witness who came into direct contact with non-human entities. This isn't hearsay or recycled folklore, Dolan stated. The individual involved provided details that align with patterns we've seen in credible accounts over decades, specific physical descriptions of the beings, their behavior, and technology that defies conventional explanation. He emphasized the witnesses' background, noting their professional credibility and lack of motive for fabrication. This person isn't chasing fame. They're shaken, and their account matches data points from military and civilian reports I've studied for years. The encounter, according to Dolan, occurred in a remote location and involved a craft exhibiting capabilities beyond known human technology: rapid acceleration, silent operation, and apparent manipulation of local environmental conditions. The witness described a low hum, almost subsonic, and a distortion in the air like heat waves before the craft appeared. Dolan recounted. He connected this to documented cases, such as the 1976 Turan incident, where similar phenomenon was reported by military personnel. Unlike past discussions where Dolan focused on declassified documents or secondary sources, this account is framed as a primary testimony, though he withheld specific details about the witness's identity to protect their privacy. Dolan's decision to share this encounter now stems from what he perceives as a shifting landscape in UFO discourse. We're at the point where silence isn't an option anymore, he said, referencing recent Pentagon admissions about UFOs. The government has acknowledged these phenomena exist, but they're not telling the full story. Accounts like this fill in the gaps. He pointed to a 15-page document he previously called excuse me. Sorry about that. Accounts that like this fill the gaps. He pointed to a 15-page document he previously called the UFO leak of the century in a 2020 interview with KRQE News, suggesting that such leaks validate the need to take eyewitnesses' testimony seriously. Critics of Dolan, however, questioning the timing and the specificity of this revelation, some argue that without tangible evidence, photographs, videos, or verifiable data, the account risks being dismissed as anecdotal. Dolan addresses this skepticism directly. I spent years sifting through hoaxes and disinformation. This is not one of them. The patterns are consistent, and the witness's emotional response was raw, unscripted. He also acknowledged the limitation, stating, "We don't have a smoking gun you can put under a microscope, but we have a coherent narrative that demands investigation."
I love Richard Dolan's work. I do. He is a very meticulous person when it comes to putting the information together and the sources that he has, and I believe this story. I believe that it is something that adds to the puzzle. Does it move the ball forward? Not really, but that's okay. Because sometimes a story doesn't need to move the ball forward to keep the conversation going. And I think that's what's happening here, and I think it's great.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the thing is with Richard, you're right. He is very meticulous, and the little I know about him, he seems very, on point. I know that he's been criticized, obviously, for kind of drifting away from that at times, and kind of getting a little bit, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but yeah, drifting away from that. But as far as I'm concerned, that's research, and that's him working what he needed to work. But yeah, I like what he has to say, and I do like anything normally that he puts out. I usually am very interested in reading because just for those facts.
All right. We've got about 6.5 minutes left here, Tim, as we continue on with the UFO report. Grab yourself some water there if you
have
it.
I'm okay.
And what else do you got for us?
Well, I have a little bit of a story. So in the summer of 2015, a quirky tale emerged from Duncan, British Columbia, involving a local eccentric named Granger Taylor. So Granger, a mechanical genius known for restoring old trains and even rebuilding a World War II era Kitty Hawk fighter plane, became obsessed with the idea of extraterrestrial life. He was convinced he could communicate with the aliens through vivid dreams. So one stormy night in November of 1980, Granger left a note for his parents that read like something out of a sci-fi comedy. He claimed he was boarding on an alien spaceship for a 42-month interstellar journey and would be back after a quick cosmic road trip. Granger had built a life-size spaceship in his backyard, a ramshackle contraption made from scrap metal and 2 satellite dishes, complete with a couch and a TV inside, where he'd meditate and to contact his alien pals. Locals often saw him tinkering in this makeshift UFO, which looked more like a backyard shed than an intergalactic vessel. After leaving his note, Granger vanished along with his truck, sparking wild theories. Some speculated he was whisked away by aliens, while others figured he just drove off into the sunset, possibly fueled by his love for cannabis and psychedelics, which might have made his alien communication a bit hazy. To this day, no one knows what happened to Granger, but his story became a local legend, celebrated in Duncan with a mix of chuckles and raised eyebrows. His spaceship was even displayed at the Duncan Forest Museum for a time. A testament to his outlandish dreams, the tale is as documented in the CBC doc point of view piece, and it's hard to and it's hard not to laugh at the image of Granger chilling in a DIY UFO, waiting for the alien Uber to arrive. I've heard this story when I was a kid, when I was way younger, and I always wonder whatever happened to him. He never came back, and he just disappeared into the abyss. It's like,
Well, I mean, they found his truck, and what they believe was human DNA exploded on top of one of the mountains outside of Duncan. So they ruled this that he decided to unalive himself, and really to the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, it ended up being a case closed event. Now, many people close to him say that he was not that person who wanted to take his own life.
Right.
He had a lot of projects going on. He liked finishing projects for people that had given it to him. I mean, this is a guy who literally had like a grade 8 education, but everybody took their parts to because he could fix anything. He literally built a UFO in his backyard. The train companies would come to him. Everybody came to Granger for him because he could fix anything.
Really?
Didn't matter what it was. He was just that talented of a guy.
Huh.
And so,
sorry, go ahead.
And so he had always believed that he was an ET abductee. So when all of a sudden this happened, okay, and he told his parents that he was going to go for a ride with the aliens and come back in 4 months,
right?
And then he disappeared. Was that a story that he had pre-planned his unaliving? Or let's get back to proper English, death.
Yeah.
Okay. Or was it something that he truly was having alien communication and they took him because he said they were going to bring him back in 4 months? Now, a lot of people who are more on the suicide portion of that believe that he was just preparing people that he was going to be gone, and he figured it was a lot easier for him to talk about the alien event rather than somebody or claiming to people that he didn't want to live anymore. So there is a lot of possibility with that, and I believe that's kind of what the RCMP think too. But there are those out there who believe that that wasn't him, even though it was in his vehicle, that wasn't his DNA. They were covering it up. Aliens took him and have decided never to bring him back. Or maybe because the aliens don't know what time is, allegedly. What's 4 months to them? So far, it's been almost 50 years.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting story. And yeah. And I don't know. That'd be kind of weird to say that, I'm going to go get abducted or I'm going to go visit aliens for 4 months. people wouldn't think that that's weird.
That is one of the stories that I would love to cover. I would love to actually do a documentary on that. I think it would be an incredible piece to actually dig into. Because, like I said, there are people out there who believe that it was something different, that he did not off himself.
Is that another project that you're proposing, sir?
Never know.
No, that'll be all right. No, for sure.
Yeah, you never know. All right, we got about 30 seconds left. So, Tim, what do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
Oh, I am thinking that something's going to show itself. I don't know what. I think something just enough to make us go, what? Again. But I think, yeah, and hopefully we'll catch it on camera. But I'm not sure, but I think something is going to be there for us.
I think you may be right. I don't know what.
Me either.
But I think you may be right, because hopefully the weather holds so that way we can see what it is and the camera is on.
Yes.
All right, Timmy. Thank you for a great night of radio, buddy. Appreciate you. As we say goodnight to little Timmy James, and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocket in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is brought to you by Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
don't make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Short Order Cook, if you can get a hold of myself on or Tim on Facebook, if you have any questions, you can ask us directly if you want.
Mm-hmm.
What's your plans for tomorrow? I forgot to say Happy Canada Day.
Oh.
Son of a gun.
Dang.
Oh, well. Contrary One, how you doing? Thurston Howell the Third, how are you?
My plans for tomorrow are not probably, is to, well, I already told you about what I was planning on doing. I don't want to say anything. But then I want to get that frickin' jungle I call a lawn taken care of. Well, at least some of it anyway.
Do you want me to bring my lawnmower over to help you?
No, I got my lawnmower.
I ride my lawnmower over there.
You get a ticket riding your lawnmower over. We both got lawnmowers you can ride. Yeah, drink a bunch of beers first and then just go willy-nilly.
I'm going to need you, if you have some time between 10 and 11 tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to need to chat with you.
Sure.
I'll tell you after the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
It's all good.
absolutely. For sure.
T-Bone, no, I have a large Husqvarna tractor style lawnmower.
Me too.
Tim has a Husqvarna. We could actually drive in formation and do one of those formation mows.
Yeah. Why don't we just go down to the oh my good God, heritage site tomorrow during the Canada Day celebrations.
I'm gonna put my Canadian flag on my lawnmower and just drive it to your place. Dude, that would be awesome. Wonder how many tanks of fuel that would take me.
Yeah, maybe one. Yeah, just take the back
gas
road.
station. I could get to the gas station and fill it up right there.
Yeah, you could rip her up the hill. Oh. That's right, Christine. Riding a lawnmower like king of the hill. I'll tell you what.
You know what? Here's the problem: is people up here are so freaking fickle about stuff like that. Like our area, like there's most of the people in our area believe we should be able to ride ATVs on the streets because we live in a rural community. But you get those get off my lawn people.
Oh God!
We don't need them running around the street, rip roaring. The kids running out there in motorcycles and the dirt bikes and all this kind of stuff. We don't need that around here. Do you know where we live? Yeah, you moved from Vancouver 18 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. We need street lights and we need crosswalks and we need. Like, well, didn't you just leave a place that had all that? God. Don't get me started.
My God, I can't type today.
That's right, fast heavy. Just brap it. Brap. Canadian people. Depends
I
on
tell you what I am doing tomorrow.
What are you doing
cleaning
tomorrow?
out the back of the Jeep.
Oh, you still haven't. Yep. See what you can find.
I'm hell-bent tomorrow because tomorrow I got to put my Kill-X on all my weeds on my driveway.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Tomorrow they die.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
and from there I have I need something to do outside, so I'm gonna tackle the Jeep.
Yeah, might as well.
I got to figure out a way to make more room in there, man. There's a way. I'm like a Tetris player with shit like that.
I know. I can tell. But how many first aid kits and how many bottles of water and how many excuse me, sorry. How many do we need?
I have about 6 bottles of water in the Jeep.
That's it?
I'm going to count them tomorrow.
Yeah, I would. I'd line them all up.
You've given me a complex about it, to be honest.
Why?
Tell them the story. Tell them the story.
The story of the water bottles?
Yeah.
Dave has about 900 bottles of water in his Jeep. And
I have more water, but I have almost as many water bottles as Brian Bowden has podcasts.
Oh, easy. I mean, where we live, we've all got go bags in our truck. So if, especially in the winter or something, you get stuck or you get lost or there's only one highway. And if there's a major accident, and we're parked there for hours and hours, like I've got my own, like I said, we've all got our go bags and we've all got water and, all that sort of stuff and something to eat and what have you. Dave is the epitome of a water hoarder. And every time we stop anywhere to go anywhere, it's like, we whip over to the gas station, we get water. It's like, do you need any more water? Not that that's a bad thing, but they're probably probably clean it out and deal with some of it.
Why is this not publishing? Hold on a second here.
No.
Let's check it on out here. Come on. All right, let's cancel that. Oh no, what do I do here? This is totally frozen up.
Leave it.
But what do I do?
Well, if it's frozen, just let it solve itself. Sometimes just
All right.
yeah, don't turn anything off because you'll lose it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there's a conundrum for tonight. So much for going to bed early.
Conundrum. That's cool.
All right, everybody. We're going to say goodnight. Happy Canada Day to all of our fellow Canadians. We absolutely love you. We do.
We do.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
We're proud to be Canadian. We are.
You.
Thank you to T-Bone times 2, Walter, Area 54, Maggie, Mortal, Clown, and Mel WD40 for the super chats. Gavin, I bought a 2007 Jeep Liberty. It's perfect for tooling around. Those, I had a 2010 Jeep Liberty, Human Carl. They were great to drive around, and you could fit anything anywhere. I agree with you on that. Totally agree with you. I have my 2013 Wrangler, a little bit tougher, but we'll figure it out. I'm hell-bent determined tomorrow to figure it out. All right, everybody, thank you for your time. We will see you tomorrow night where our guest will be, yes, I will be on the air. It'll be Geraldine. It'll be her final episode on The Spiritual You. Mm-hmm. She has asked to, after 9 years, to step away because she is so busy that she's finding it hard to get there on time. And she's very apologetic, but she wanted to do one more with all of you. So we'll see you all tomorrow night for Geraldine Orozco. Have a great night, everybody. We love you. Take care. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. Bye.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.